Alright, relax.
We can pair vegetables with wine? Yeah, that's true. There's no wine to it. Oh, who's that?
So hi, my name is Justine, and today I will be doing an informative speech on wine and how to go wine tasting. So the reason I chose this topic is because we live in such a beautiful area where wine tasting is a huge part of our economy, and so many people come up from all over California and out of state to come and taste our wines at all of the different wineries that are around this area. So first I'm going to give you guys some background info on wine and wine tasting, and then I will show you some really helpful tips and teach you how to pick out the best bottle of wine for any occasion, and then I'll give you some really helpful tips to go wine tasting with and help you get the most out of your experience. So before I get to the fun part, I have to give you a little background information. So according to Nielsen Holdings, high-end California wine accounts for more than 2/3 of U.S. wine bottle sales above $20. So basically beer or hard alcohol, anything like that, wine is 2/3 of the sales. And like I said before, wine tasting in our area, we live right next to Amador, Shenandoah Valley, and El Dorado County has some of the best wineries just up and down California, not to mention we live near Napa Valley and Sonoma, which, according to Huffington Post, those are two of the top places in the United States to go wine tasting, which is very interesting. So, also, what makes wine tasting really cool is the different grapes that grow in different parts of California and also all over the rest of the world. Wine tasting isn't just something that people do in the United States. It happens all over the world, and all wines taste different because different grapes grow in different climates and regions. So, yeah, wine tasting is pretty fun. So, next I'm going to be giving you some helpful tips to pick out a good bottle of wine for whatever occasion you may be hosting. So according to winefolly.com, there are 9 styles of wine. There's light white, rich white, aromatic and sweet white, rosé, light red, medium red, full-bodied red, sparkling, and dessert wine. So next I'm going to show you how to pair your food with a bottle of wine. So if you guys all would take a look at the screen, it's a little hard to read, but I will point out with the mouse what ones I'm talking about. So if you're going to be trying a sweet white, follow the mouse. So it would go good with soft cheeses, hard cheeses, and some starches and some fish. But if you're going to be trying a dry white, that would go best with vegetables and roasted vegetables. And then if you're going to be trying just a completely opposite type of wine, like a medium red, that's going to go best with white meat and red meat, and also roasted vegetables, but not normal vegetables. And then if you're going to be trying a bold red, that would go best with red meat and cured meat. And then dessert wine is in its own area completely, and you usually would have that with any sort of sweet or dessert, something that has a lot of sugar in it, because those pair really well together. So then I have another chart to show you. It's kind of a cheat sheet when you go shopping for wine. So this is basically telling you that undervalued regions that people aren't as familiar with, the wines are going to be less expensive, but they're going to taste just as good. So the $1 sign is wines that are under 20, and then the $3 signs are $25 plus. So the undervalued regions are places like Mendoza, Argentina, Australia, parts of Australia, Central California, Spain, Portugal, and Italy. So this is just for bold reds, but then you have the popular regions like Napa Valley, for example, or I wish I could say that in French, Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and then in Italy, Tuscany, and Veneto. So this is just kind of cool because it tells you that just because a bottle of wine is a little less expensive doesn't necessarily mean it's going to not taste as good. So, and you can follow this all the way down, and it gives you some really good wines that are of all sorts of variety. So yeah, so that's very helpful to look at if you're trying to work with a budget, or you don't know, if you don't know a lot about wine, this could really help you out. So next, I'm going to give you guys a few helpful tips on how to get the most out of your wine tasting experience. So you all have a glass of wine in front of you. So you're gonna so the first thing I want you guys to do is just to look at your red wine. This is gonna be the first thing you do when you go wine tasting. Look at it, you know, swirl it around the glass a little bit. Do you see anything floating in it? Is there any cork? So just take a look at it, and then second, I want you to smell it. So go ahead and just kind of like circle it around in your glass a little bit for a few seconds. Usually you would do it for like 10 to 15 seconds, but you can just do it for 5. Do you, like, what do you do? Do you smell anything? If I was more of a wine expert, I could tell you what you're supposed to be smelling, but. So third, take a sip. And just kind of, what do you taste initially? What are the bolder flavors that you're going to taste? Because those are the ones that are going to be, obviously, probably the deciding factor. But the next step is to let it sit in your mouth, which is the evolution phase. And that's where all of the other flavors start to appear that they tell you on the wine bottle that you might not necessarily taste when you first sip it. So when you let it sit there, there should be some fruity flavors if you're drinking, like, you know, sweet white wine. And then if it's more of like a bitter white wine, you're probably going to taste a lot of bitterness. And then the fifth step is called the finish phase, and that's how long did the flavor last? How acidic was it? Are you still tasting the acidity? Did the flavor just kind of disappear right after you swallowed it? That kind of thing, and that also helps just with the flavor, and you know that'll help you decide if you liked it or not. But basically, all you do after that is either buy the bottle or you move on to the next one, and it's a really good time. So, in conclusion, we live in a really great area for wine tasting, and wine brings people together and just makes for a really good time. So it's really helpful to know, you know, what kind of wine you want for what occasion, according to what you're going to be cooking, or, you know, what you're going to be doing, that kind of thing, and then what everybody's particular tastes are. Because someone that likes only white wine probably isn't going to like any sort of red wine, because they're completely different. So, there are many types of wine from all over, so the wine cheat sheet will be really helpful in choosing some, you know, wine that you might not necessarily taste if you're going wine tasting in California. You know, they import wine from Italy and France, so that's a very helpful chart, and you can find some pretty good deals on how to get a good bottle of wine. So, yeah, and if you follow those steps, every time you go drink wine, that's pretty much all you have to do, and you will probably find a bottle of wine you love. Thank you.